courting, so to speak, and then it metamorphosed into what has grown from simple allegations to suspension and other matters arising. I'm not alone in the studio. I have Lawrence Umoete. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
And I also have Salami Salmon. Thank you for joining us today.
It's a pleasure having me.
So, as I was saying about the Senator Natasha versus Senate President Godswill Akpabio Brouhaha, we know that Senator Natasha did say that she was trying to move a motion on the floor of the House, but she noticed that she was quietened more than once by the President of the Senate, and she had to go to his office. If you watched her interview on television, you would know the story, you know the backstory, and because she felt sidelined, she decided to go to his office and ask questions. What exactly happened? Why am I not being heard on the floor of the House? And according to her, she was told that she could get better or favored responses if she played ball. Well, we know that back and forth, there has been a 6-month suspension, leveled on Senator Natasha Akpoti following her allegations against Senate President. And it has drawn debates on gender, on power, on political fairness in Nigeria. Though the Senate, for now, has said that her suspension was not related to her fight with Senator Akpabio, but they said it was due to her alleged incessant violation of Senate rules. But then we still have some Nigerians who have particularly said that we should be more concerned about why she was even suspended in the first place, especially those from the north. We saw ACF make moves and say, oh, we need to react to this. Different quarters, we've had different responses from different people. In fact, this morning we saw in the headline, Serap was giving ultimatum, 48 hours to Senator Akpabio to, reverse the suspension, back and forth. So let's begin with Lawrence Umoete. What's your feel of all of this? How is it hitting you?
Well, Didi, thank you. It's not hitting me. I'm just enjoying the drama. And just like I told Mr. Salami in the newsroom, that towards the end of next week, we'll be talking about something else. The drama, I've covered the National Assembly for several years, and I know that dramas like that are always around. It's just at this time, maybe with the growing use of social media, it's becoming accentuated and stuff like that. But I think we need to get the facts that we saw, and she insisted on making a complaint, and the Senate President, relying on the rules of the Senate, said no, you have to go to your seat first before you can make any observation or complaint. And she insisted, and that was what led to that first major public altercation that we saw. And subsequently the matter was assigned to the Senate Committees on Ethics, and then she went to court, and she got a court injunction against the committee to sit, but the Senate committee also went ahead, and she was eventually suspended.
But that was the
allegation of sexual harassment or whatever also came in between this, but that was after the first altercation that came in, and the Senate President's wife also went to court, and then the parties were served. So essentially the matter is in court, and the matter is also before the Senate Committee on Ethics and ethics and privileges. On the matter of the sexual harassment, the first what do you call it? The first petition that the Senator Oduaga sent to the committee was thrown out for procedural error, but she resubmitted a second petition, which is before the committee. So, but for me, I think what I've seen, especially on social media, has been a lot of emotions, a lot of sentiments, and a lot of people, political, gender, and so many things come into one. If you are a hater of the APC or Akpabio, naturally you will line behind Senator Akpoti. If you are this, a lot of people, very few people, you could see her dispassionate on this issue. And I think that the only way it's going to resolve it, if the matter eventually finds itself in court, is the original matter of the sexual harassment. Because as for the other one, I don't think the courts will really have a lot to do about that. For now, that's it. It is. I see a lot of reports, sponsors, protests, both for Senator Akpoti and both for Senator Akpabio. It's expected. It's always like it's time for a lot of people to make fast cash. If you can't mobilize people to come to the National Assembly, the more people you can mobilize. If you're a fast guy, you can do that.
But also remember that they're also dispersing protesters as they assemble before the National Assembly, because we saw those reports.
Naturally, that's what the security agency will have to disperse because you cannot afford to let the situation degenerate to that.
Now, I make reference to the sexual harassment being, front burner, because I watched her interview on Arise News where she was particularly clear as to what even led, according to her, right? That was what led to the sitting arrangement brouhaha. Yeah, her explanation was that she was trying to move a motion on the floor of the House about the Ajaokuta steel. Knowing how passionate she was about that particular motion, she felt slighted that the President of the Senate did not listen to her, and she decided to, take it up to go to his office and ask questions. And then she was reminded of an experience that she had in his house while her husband was there. There was a tour of his house and all of that, and she was moving in front and the husband was moving behind on the call and all of that. I don't know if you saw that interview, but according to her, she said that sitting thing could have been, maybe swept under the carpet, or may not have, gained as much attention if it was not hinged on the sexual tension or whatever it was that was going on between the two. I just, needed to clarify that.
For me, I think it's neither here nor there, because that's our side of this.
Exactly, and she did say that the President of the Senate could refute what she was saying.
Exactly.
She did say that.
We need to get, since they've resorted to the courts, then, what do you call it? Evidence.
Exactly.
It's not TV interviews that will
no,
definitely
the not.
Judges and everything.
All right, Mr. Salami, let's hear you.
Well, I feel very strongly about what is going on in the Halo chamber of the Senate for so many reasons. My friend Lawrence described it as a drama. I do not see it as a drama. It is not a drama. It is a national tragedy and a disgrace to an institution. It is not Akpabio as a person that is on trial. It is the hallowed chamber. It is the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Akpabio happens to just be the face of the Senate, and of course, primus inter pares is just first among equals. Well, don't let us lose sight of what really transpired. At least, as the facts are, there was altercation occasioned by non-compliance as regards the sitting arrangement by Senator Akpoti Uduaghan. It is visible to all of us, or it was known, that what really let me get the word right. Transpired. Not really. What really led to other issues was non-compliance with sitting arrangement, which to me is procedural. And when the president insisted that the distinguished senator, as they call themselves, should sit down where she was expected to sit, instead of complying or obeying, it resulted to altercation. To me, that is not right. It is not a military regime, I agree. But the military always say that obey and before...
Obey the last command.
Obey before you complain. One would have expected to either jokingly turn it to something else or obey. Instead of exchanging words with the president of the Senate. That to me is not particularly right. I'm sorry if I'm being judgmental. Now, we should be mindful of the way we portray the Alo chamber of the Senate, because we are dancing naked. The country is dancing naked, and we should be mindful of the unintended consequences of what is going on in the Senate. The masquerade should not dance naked in the market. That precisely, to me, is what is going on. Well, the other issue of allegation of is it sex rape or
sexual harassment?
Sexual harassment. What amounts to sexual harassment? I will not comment much on this.
All right, so let's move on.
Because it is sub judice.
Let's move on to the situation of unity colleges across Nigeria. Yeah, it's also in the headlines how it has become a sorry situation. In fact, let me see that report on Vanguard very quickly. The minister paid a visit, Minister of Education paid a visit to King's College, Lagos, and he was, of course, dissatisfied with what he saw. 8 months prior to his visit, they did not have electricity. There is an outbreak of diphtheria in Lagos, in King's College, Lagos. And as I mentioned earlier, during the course of newspaper review, I said, this is just King's College. If you took a journey through some unity colleges across Nigeria, you would be appalled by the situation. Did you go through a unity college, Lawrence?
No, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Did you go through a unity college?
It wasn't even available that time.
It wasn't even. Thank you.
Not in my own time.
Okay, it wasn't available. Now, when it even became available, it was difficult to get into unity colleges. In fact, it was a thing of flex.
It was elitist.
Elitist. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. If you could get into unity, because of how much people respected the colleges. But now we have situations where there is little or no attention being paid to these unity colleges across Nigeria. Let's talk about education generally in Nigeria.
Well, Didi, there are two levels to this discussion. The first is that they say if gold rusts, what happens to iron? If the minister is appalled at the state of a unity college, what will happen to that community secondary school?
In
somewhere in Haruna Monda. What will happen to that? That's a story for another day. Back to the unity school, just like Mr. Salami said, it was not available then. But at a point, the political elite set up the unity school just to take care of their kids.
Right.
And then maybe a sprinkle of one or two other students who are very, very
exceptional.
And that was it. It was, those days now, where is your kid? My kid attends King's College or Queen's College. Or Federal Government College, Calabar,
FGC.
all those kind of things. It was a status symbol. But today, do you know why the unity colleges are going down? Because you now have private schools who are better funded, who are more elitist that have replaced them. And the elite have moved their children from federal colleges to those schools. Those ones that they pay in dollars.
So this comes now to the culture of maintenance.
Exactly.
In
so
Nigeria.
They don't have any reason to look at the Unity College, whether it is very maintained, because their children are well taken care of in these private schools, and that's it. And it's the same thing that is happening to federal universities. There were times that the first, Mr. Salami and I were talking the other day about those first generation universities. When you go to them, you know that you are in a university campus. Those days, I still remember my first visit to the University of Ife then. It was as if I was out of this country. The scenery, everything, the building and everything, it was so nice. You go to ABU, you'll be held by the landscape and everything.
No, you are.
But today,
it's a beautiful school.
You now have a lot of private universities who are there. Then, if you go to those first generation universities, you weep how things have gone. So, it is just the state of.
So, what do we do? What's the way forward?
Well, if we want to say the way forward is long, we really need to come back and say, well, should education be commercial? Should it be a social service? That is where we have to start from. Because there are two schools of thought. Oh, let's give autonomy to the schools. Let them generate their own resources and set up facilities. If you do that, you're going to shut out a lot of students because the cost will be so high, especially for the Unity schools. If you want to say, okay, let them charge fees that are commensurate to what it would take to maintain them, it's good. So the long and short is that government should have a rethink about refunding these schools.
Salmon, I want us to talk about funding for education, especially the 2025 budget. There have been outcries as to how much education is, receiving, the sector in itself. How do you feel about it?
Oh, well, before I dwell on that question, let me talk a little bit on this so-called Unity schools.
So-called?
Why were they established in the first instance? It's just to foster unity amongst Nigerian youths. That was the intention. And it really, really did. Because I happen to have done a lot of research on government colleges, federal government colleges. And the first one to be established is the federal government college in Sokoto. That's the first. And this federal government college, Sokoto, has produced so many Nigerians who see themselves as Nigerians and not as a Yoruba man, Hausa man, Igbo man. Let me tell you a story today. We were doing a project on these government colleges, and I had reason to meet a man who attended the federal government college, who that time was the MD of Nikon Insurance. I was in his office with my team when one young lady called Chioma entered. Chioma was a youth corps member, and with long hairdo. And the man said, Chioma, before I open my eyes, go and remove that thing. I will not only beat you, I will beat your father. It was from then I realized that the man and Chioma's father attended Federal Government College, Sokoto, together. And they are no more, as of today, they are no more friends, but they are families. And to the extent that Chioma is that man's daughter. She sees herself as the daughter of that man. That man sees Chioma as her daughter, as his daughter rather. And the way that man did that day, I was impressed. That led me to another thing. Do you know that Chief of Defense Staff, General Chris Musa, attended Federal Government College, Sokoto? So many, if you don't know what's the name of this security outfit, in fact, they are our security.
NSCDC?
No.
Private.
Okay. This private union.
Oh, okay.
They are even the one guarding this place. The owner of that place attended Federal Government College, Sokoto. He's a Yoruba man. They are friends. You see, it's just that everything Nigeria, we allowed those things, the idea, the intention and the mission to die, or we allow it to outlive its usefulness. They had good intention setting up such unity schools, but like everything Nigeria, we do not pay particular attention to details, and we are more interested in the form and not necessarily the substance. Let me leave it as at that. Well, as regards the funding, you see, whether we like it or not, education is not cheap. And education, generally speaking, and in theory, is a social service. And because of the role of education, which is the leveler and enabler, it is education that can make the children of the hewers of wood and fetchers of water to become somebody in life. Quite many of us who are here today speaking Togo Turenshi and meeting with all the shakers and movers of Nigeria today, we are able to do this today because we are robustly educated. But for education, quite many of us will not be seen where they see us today. I was a political analyst when Trust TV first started. By 7 to 9, I will be there. And wherever I went that time, you will see a big man who will just say, "Salami, are you not Salami?" And you will see this man. You ask yourself that, how did he know you? Say, "I saw you on television." But for education, we will not have been known. And as media men, there is no man we cannot interview. If we meet President Bola Ahmed Tinubu today, the kind of questions that his ministers could not ask, we will ask.
True.
We would. And it's because of education. If not for education, we would not have been able to move close to these people. That is to tell you that education is priceless.
And we must pay more attention.
And we must pay. That is the thing.
Already.
That is one.
Right.
But two, much as I believe that nothing good comes cheap, I still do not believe that education should be commercialized. It is not business like selling beans and rice or selling. It is not. But at the same time, there is need to strike a balance as to what should be paid and who should pay.
And some regulation.
And who should pay.
Okay.
There are quite some Nigerians that they are who they are today because their parents could not afford school fees. Quite many members of the NURT, with a due apology, that you see today, some of them they belong to the wasted generation because their parents could not afford.
Okay.
If you look at what Afe Baola told us the other time, look at Afe Baola today. It could be described as the Lord Denny of our time. If not for perseverance, if not for sacrifice, if not for can do it spirit, it wouldn't have become what he is today. I still say that there is the need to make provision even for the children of the poor. No Nigerian should miss going to school because his parents cannot afford the fees.
All right, point well made. And now, Citizen FM 93.7, 9:30, that's what the time is. We're analyzing a few stories across some papers. Moving on now, it's last week I saw a headline about housing agents, how that there were calls from different quarters that, especially in the Federal Capital Territory, that there should be some sort of regulation, because it seems like the nozzle is getting tighter on people who are looking for properties to rent. The agency fee has shot up by, I think, 150% or thereabouts, or even 200%. And then there are other charges that have come up now that were not there, or that did not used to be there before. Now, the federal government has also threatened that they would revoke contracts of some people who may have gotten contracts on building these houses, as it relates to, because of these reports that they are getting. You are getting the approval to get your property in shape and then put it out to rent, because the approval you got was that you wanted to make it that kind of building that people can live inside, you rent it. And then the next thing is that the middlemen are the ones who are trying to kill the people who would, by kill now I don't mean literal, who are trying to like choke out the life out of the people who are coming to rent these properties at the end of the day. Now, as it concerns the man, that is the last man who is going to be the person who gets to rent the property, how does this come to you?
These things, the government, one simple thing that can just reduce. The first question you ask is, why do we have a lot of people who want to get accommodation in the city centers or the major areas? Because of the poor infrastructure. If we had a good infrastructure in place, there's nothing stopping somebody from staying in Kefi.
But what about proximity to work?
No, that's what I'm saying. If you live in Kefi and there is an electric train that moves from Kefi to city center in 6 minutes, you're here. And you don't have any business staying in Wuse because of proximity to your place of work. If, let's leave the electric train, if you're staying in, say, where do you have this correctional center after Airport Road?
Kuje.
If you're staying in Kuje and you have a reliable transport system that you step out of your house and in 20 minutes you're in Eagle Square, you are not going to cut your head because you want to get a one-room apartment in Wuse for 2 million naira.
But the thing is, it's not even about just city centers alone.
No.
Do you know that even in these outskirts, suburbs?
What I'm saying is that is the first part. The second part is, if you open up these areas that I've mentioned, open up by making roads available, infrastructure available, a lot of people will not need to come to town to hustle, as we call it. Some people come to town not because they have any regular job, but they have more chances of getting something to do in Wuse, in Gariki, than in Kuje. If you open up Kuje, as in open up, not mouth. If you open up, you have primary health care facilities across maybe every 5 or 6 streets. You have the local market well built. You have the primary schools there and everything. Chances are that a lot of people will find something to do in that area. You only find people whose skills are needed in the city center that will want to leave these areas and come to this. But if you want, in terms of legislation, there's really nothing the federal government can do or the FCT administration can do in terms of, you want to sanction agents, you want to do this. They are doing that because the demand is high.
That's right.
The moment demand is not high, every other thing will fall into place.
I see.
That is the basic thing. You see, when can you control what you don't provide?
Exactly.
And how will you regulate what is not your own? The point is this. We all know that there are 3 basic needs.
Yes.
Food, shelter, and clothing. In actual fact, I think food first.
And also social media.
Okay, that's a new.
Well, let's get serious. You see, the truth is this. If there are more people chasing few houses, naturally, this is what you see. And the question again is this. Whose responsibility is it to provide accommodation? Whose responsibility?
Whose? Does it not depend on the type of the economy? Because some places it is the government, some places it's the individuals, some places the mixed.
This is a capitalist economy, and the crudest form of capitalism, so to speak. But I still want to believe that there is the need for the government to take good care of those who cannot participate in the economic activities, not because of the fault of theirs. I used to say that the more I see a poor man, the less I wonder he's poor. But a friend punctured that and said that, look, if you are poor, the very fact that you are still a member of a country, the country still owes you something.
True that.
And I believe, and I agree to it.
True
I
that.
want to believe that if we have affordable houses, you see, it's unfortunate that there are good plans, and at times I do not enjoy running commentary on radio, because quite many of the things you would like to say, they do no more than you do. It's just a question of in whose interest. If they do it, their interest is not the interest of the common man. But I want to believe that there is the need to deliver the bountiful dividends of democracy to our people. I do not think.
Now, related to this story, related to the story is this call from the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria, CBCN, where they were warning that Nigeria's economic hardship, insecurity, and youth unemployment have reached alarming levels despite recent government's reforms. The bishop expressed grave concern over rising poverty, food inflation, kidnappings, and the deplorable state of correctional facilities across the country. And they're calling for urgent and decisive actions to address the crisis. Again, okay, let me just read this very quickly. It says that the warning came during the 2025 first plenary meeting of the CNBC held at the Catholic Secretariat of Nigeria in Abuja just yesterday. And they urged the government to tackle the root causes of economic hardship and insecurity, emphasizing that millions of Nigerians are suffering under extreme conditions of poverty and fear. And the truth is that, okay, let me just, I keep trying to say something, but then I see something of interest and I want to just read it very quickly. Archbishop Ogoji acknowledged that some government economic and fiscal reforms, such as road rehabilitation, student loan scheme, and debt servicing reduction have seen some light, but they still need more work. He maintained that these efforts have not significantly improved the daily lives of Nigerians. Inflations continue to rise and the cost of living becomes unaffordable for many. And it's time that we paid more attention to these things. Now, this story made headlines on, I think, all the papers, actually. If it's not the big story, it is on the front page of virtually all of the papers. This story on bishops warning on hardship of the economic situation of Nigeria at the moment.
You can hardly fault their conclusion. The situation there is what are the different levels of leaders in the country doing? You see, my attitude has always been, when there are issues about Nigeria, I tend to look at it from at the federal level, the state level, the local government level, and even the community level. What are you doing? We've discussed a couple of times with Mr. Salami that if you look at the allocations to states in the last 6 months or thereabout, you will see that the amount has tripled, or if not more than that, sometimes 4 times what the states used to get, say 2 years ago till now. If you look at how much has gone to local government councils across the country, you see that the allocations has also more than tripled and over there. So what exactly are these levels of government doing at the end? Because I also know that there are also a lot of interventions from the federal government to states. You find out that the federal government will adopt a particular institution that was owned and run by a state and take over that administration. You find out that a particular mill in the state or a particular industry has been taken over by the federal government just to make it more functional and everything and all this. So what am I saying in essence? It's going to be a collaborative effort. A lot of things where we cannot deny the fact that, man, a lot of Nigerians, millions of Nigerians are really facing challenging times.
Of course.
Not only that, in fact, everyone, there's hardly anybody, no matter how rich you are, you still feel it because the number of dependents you have,
Exactly.
the number of people who will sneak into your DM to look for help, the number of people in your community and everywhere. So no one is let out of this.
True that.
But the truth of the matter is that as citizens, we need to ask the right questions. What is that councillor who represents your ward? What exactly is it?
So that it's not always about the president,
What
the
exactly
president,
is
and
it
the
doing?
president.
That's Trunk B Road that was listed in the state budget, that has been in the state budget in the last 5 years and has not been implemented. Why is that? That market in the local government that was supposed to have been completed 3 years ago
What
is
happened?
not completed. What exactly is happening? Those are critical questions we need to ask. And I know, this and that, everything. There are what you call exclusive lists, concurrent lists, and reciprocal lists. So you need to know most of these things, especially the ones that you find.
But then that now takes us back to what we talked about earlier. That's education. A lot of people are not, they don't know. So when conversations about fixing the economy comes up, the first person they're looking at is whoever is president at the time they are talking.
Exactly.
Sad.
Well, when we say there is glancing abject poverty in the land, what precisely do we mean?
Okay.
Let me make this point straight away. There is no doubt that there is hardship in the land. There will always be hardship. This is not the first time that they will tell us that things are hard. Even in the 70s, in the 80s, there was a time people were queuing for Esenko, essential commodity. So you see, it is not new. What is new is that how are we addressing it? And what precisely is the cause of this multi-dimensional poverty? Truth be told, there is poverty in the land, there's hardship in the land, but throwing money at problems will not solve problems.
So what are these things that need to be done? Let's hear you.
One, the government at all levels should prioritize agriculture. It is very important.
But there have been moves, right? Or is it that the moves are not seeing the light of day?
If it has, you will not be talking of buying tomato for 2,000 or 5,000. What I'm saying is that if it has translated into food on the table, at least the gnashing of teeth and the hardship in the land will not be as it is now, because of all democracies, the first democracy is the democracy of the belly. The moment you are able to feed yourself, you have solved most of the problem.
50%.
And I want to say this with all sense of responsibility. There is the need for we Nigerians too to rethink the way we look at issues and our attitude. The era of petrodollar is gone. It's gone forever. Quite many people are supposed to be on the farm. They are here.
What farms exactly? Because we also need to put into consideration the state of security. So, for instance, we just woke up to the story of some people being killed in Benue State. Some farmers, we hear about farmer-header clashes. We hear about people who cannot go to their farms. It's not just about the subsistence agriculture, farming in your backyard. How about people who actually take it up as, their daily jobs, but are unable to now go to their farms? And even in some cases where they're able to go to their farms, they need to pay bandits. We hear these stories. So, at the end of the day, they need to make up for those monies that they need to pay, and the last man who gets to eat the food are the people who get to pay.
You see, there is insecurity in the land, no doubt about that, but the government is tackling it. Why?
That is the point you earlier made, which is we need to see results.
I'm coming. The point is this: we are all involved in this. These militants, these bandits, these kidnappers, are they ghosts? Are they ghosts? you'll be surprised that the man who is complaining about poverty is the one supplying loaf to the bandits, forgetting that at the end of the day, the unintended consequence of what these militants and non-state actors do will affect you. What am I saying? It is the iniquity of all. We are all involved in this. And unless and until we decide as a people to do the right thing, for that much, we'll still be complaining.
All right.
Didi, you asked the question, what should we do?
Yes, straight up.
And we're talking about agriculture.
Yes.
I think one of the things we can do as a nation now is we should move a step ahead in terms of encouraging people to go to the farms. Apart from that, for example, just a simple one. Why don't we create a scenario where we have storage facilities? Tomatoes, for example, you only get to enjoy tomatoes during the season, first 2 months, 3 months,
and
after that it's
starts
gone.
Crying again.
The rest is wasted all over. Simple thing. And we normally say it on this program.
Just to mention, and in Benway, the food that wastes, the fruits that waste.
If you're traveling around that route, you will shed tears. You will shed tears.
Please go
We used to say it in agriculture. We need to step out of this farming with
yes.
The world has moved beyond that.
Very mechanized.
We really need to add value added. That's agronomics. That's what we should be thinking of. How do you add value to the tomato, convert it to paste and everything, and export? You don't.
But then, in fairness, though, we're also seeing reports how that some people are trying. Did you see that report earlier of how that about 7 million businesses have shut down between 2023 to 2024? So people who have to start these kind of businesses, they start small, and because of the policies, again, it's like a cycle, right? The policies, some of them are not favorable, so people would need to fold up under unfavorable business conditions. So we're back here again. We're back right where we started. Really sad.
But the truth of the matter is that we are making some progress. It may not be very astronomical, but we are making progress in terms of our inroad in agriculture. Some state government, Niger State, for example, the governor is doing a lot. If you really go, and we know that there are rooms for improvement. If all the states, because the truth of the matter is that for governors who are politicians, they are all politicians, it's not fashionable to invest your money on agriculture. You know why? Because one, it's going to take time to manifest. Governors want to tar a particular road and sign off on the construction of this building, which they don't intend to complete anyway. So that before election time comes, those are things that they are going to point to that they are doing.
Okay, all right. So we just have a few minutes left. So let's yes, just a few minutes. So let's round off with this situation in Rivers State. I was saving the best for last. So we know that there has been sort of face-off going on for Fubara wing, a pro-Wike group. A meeting was called and the meeting was shut down. Did you see that update? Because headlines today just captured the focus today was Fubara had extended the olive branch. He was calling for a meeting. But we know the update now is that, in fact, one paper captures it, Daily Post captures it as day or day. Rivers lawmakers turned down Fubara's invitation. They're saying they're not attending. So let me feel your pulse on the political crisis in Rivers.
Well,
and then we'll come to you, Salah. Okay, you want to go first?
Well, you have a preferred guest.
Preferred? No, of course not. Perhaps maybe the way my eyes are tilted. Okay, let's begin with you, Salami, within the time that we have.
Well, this Rivers palaver is becoming a matter of urgent concern to all right thinking Nigerians. Honestly, what is happening there is not funny at all. We have heard from the Supreme Court, and that is the highest court in the land. The Supreme Court decided that the 27 lawmakers are the
chairman.
real people to make laws for the state. In actual fact, it stands to reason. I wouldn't know why 4 would be more than 27.
No, that's not new. We live in Nigeria. That's not new.
And even if it is not new, I've been talking of absurdity.
Right.
If 1 million people do the wrong thing, regardless of their number,
it's not right.
It is still a wrong thing. If it's not new, should we now take it as the new normal or the new norm? Because it is what you see. Let us just come back to our senses and do what is right. Objective and subjective, you may say, but we all know what is right. Now, it's unfortunate that it got to this level before His Excellency Sim Fubara now began to have a retrace of steps. And I keep on telling whoever cares to listen that when people tell you that keep on dancing, we are behind you.
Careful.
In actual fact,
be very careful.
There are some things that should not be lost on us. One of such things which I always say is this: all sins shall be forgiven, but the sin of ingratitude has no forgiveness. When I am not a fan of Wike, when Wike was making you the governor, where were others?
But then again, we wonder, when are we going to move away from making you the governor? I thought we all danced.
Whether you want to know it or you don't want to believe it, there will always be Godfather in life. There must be. What I do not like is to what use do you put it? Godfatherism in itself and by itself is not a negative thing. It's not a bad thing. But the point still remains that somebody will help you in life. Somebody help you to get this job at Citizen FM. Or is it on merit?
It was totally on merit. I say this and I say it on live radio.
And this is one of the few things. But there's nothing bad in doing things on merit. But even you could still be qualified. You may still need somebody to just take your application there for you. What we are saying that in politics, there is the need for you to be circumspect. Circumspect in the sense that politicians are team players. And because, of course, it's a question of number. You can't win any election. And the more the merrier. But the Rivers State matter as it is today, there is the need for give and take.
Okay, well, we're almost out of time. 3 minutes. Let me hear what you have to say, Lawrence, and then we call it a wrap.
For me, I think when I hear that, the governor extended an olive branch, I don't know, my idea of olive branch, it doesn't tell you what is happening. An olive branch could have been if the governor had invited the lawmakers before
the Supreme Court judgment.
That would have been seen as an olive branch.
So this one now, it feels like it's been arm twisted.
Whatever it's done now has to be in compliance
with the law.
With the law, and that's it.
With the judgment.
And for me, as a student of history and politics, I know that the era of peace and negotiation is over.
Chai.
This is going to be winner take all. That's it, unfortunately.
Which reminds me of a song by Lucky Dube. They say the winner takes it all, but in my case, I didn't take the blame. In my case, you didn't take the hurt.
But let me just chip in this. We saw this scenario in Kaduna before, when Balarabe Musa was governor. Until he was impeached, he never had a cabinet. Fubara is lucky. After all, he had a cabinet, so to speak. But the truth be told, this will be a lesson to other people.
And I hope that they learn well. Thank you very much for, doing this analysis with me this morning. Thanks to Lawrence Moete. Thanks to Salami Salmon. It was really nice having you people. On the show, it's been me, Didi, and time is 9:54, 10 o'clock.